I'm a happy guy today because I get to do black and white photography all day long. We've got a beautiful day for it. And this is why. Look at this. Ricoh Imaging USA has just sent me a brand new pre-production GR4 monochrome. Okay, this is only going to shoot black and white. I'm very excited to play with this here today. And I do want to mention this is a pre-production camera, so let's get that out of the way. And that means we're not going to be doing a lot of technical tests or anything like that. But at the same time, we already know the GR4, and this is a black and white version, so it's going to be an easy talk today. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. I'm Chris Nichols. This is PetaPixel. Let's get to it. Well, it's now 2026. I hope you guys got some cash over the holidays. And if you're looking to buy some photographic gear, go to B&H Photo and use their new Payboo Credit Card. Because here's the thing, the purchases you make with that B&H Photo Payboo Credit Card, they're going to give you back the sales tax. And that'll really stretch the dollar out further. Or you have another great option. You can finance camera gear. You're not going to get the sales tax, but you can stretch those payments out over 6 months or even 12 months. But this is a great way to make expensive camera gear more affordable either now or over the long term. But do remember that this is a credit card. You want to be responsible with it, and there is a pre-approval process. So you can definitely get that on track. Find the info with the link that you can see below, or go to bhphoto.com/Payboo for more information. Payboo credit cards are issued by Comenity Capital Bank. So if by some amazing chance you have not seen a Ricoh GR camera before, this is what they look like. And the beauty of them here is that we have a compact fixed lens APS-C size sensor, which is just really nice to carry around in your pocket to do street photography and travel photography with. You should probably check out our Ricoh GR4 review because that goes into a lot of detail about the features, functionality, and controls of this camera, but I'm going to talk about those again today. And I really do like this latest iteration of the GR camera. The GR4, I think, made some very meaningful changes to the handling, the control structure, and some meaningful improvements to the hardware while still keeping this camera incredibly compact. And you know, Ricoh from the very beginning has been committed to keeping this camera as small as possible. So with the GR4, they actually made it even smaller. This is 2 millimeters thinner than the GR3. It is very easy to keep in a pocket, 260 grams. You can carry it all day long. And they returned to an older style control scheme, which I really appreciated. I didn't love the GR3's controls, and this goes back to a classic system. I like the plus minus button. I can use that to change menu functions as well as my exposure compensation. Got a dial on the back here with push function, locking switch for the mode dial, front command dial. I mean, you really do have everything at your fingertips, and it's especially made to work one-handed. So you're going to see me doing this a lot because that's exactly how these are designed. But this compact design does come with some compromises. I mean, there's some things that we just have to give up. We're not going to get an EVF here at all, and our back panel doesn't rotate or articulate or anything like that. It's just a standard 1 million dot LCD panel on the back in a fixed position. Now, you can use an optical viewfinder in the hot shoe. That lines up with the lens really nice, so that could be a really good way to do it because you only have the one lens here. We're going to talk about that in a bit. Otherwise, we do have a compromise when it comes to storage, sort of. In order to make the camera smaller, we've actually gone from a full-size SD card now to a micro SD card. Not the end of the world. I mean, it's still a perfectly viable storage system. And the Ricoh GR4 cameras do give you 54 gigabytes of built-in storage, so you don't even really need to bring one of those around. What it did improve, though, was the battery life. We now have a larger battery in here, giving us just over 250 CP-rated shots. I know that's still not a huge number, but it's way better than what the GR3 had. So the GR4 platform brings some other really notable improvements here. We still have a 28mm full frame equivalent lens, f2.8, but it's improved. Optically, it's really nice lens. I feel that it takes better close-up shots now. It's also faster focusing. The motors drive it quicker. And it has another really nice thing here. The older GR platforms, dust could get inside there, land on this sensor, and be a real pain to get rid of. But this now has improved seals, which will help mitigate that somewhat. Other really nice improvements here, 6-stop IBIS now, just extra stability. You know, on a camera like this, you can really handhold nice and calmly. Getting those shutter speeds slower when appropriate, keeping the ISO lower can really help you out in low light situations. But look, I know you've probably heard a lot of these specs before because it is exactly identical to the GR4 camera. And as I've said before, I do feel that this is the nicest iteration used so far. So what is actually different? Well, it comes down to the heart of the camera because here we have a purely monochromatic sensor, 26 megapixel APS-C sensor, only black and white. And you know, we've seen similar things like on the Pentax K3 monochrome, which had a 26 megapixel black and white sensor, but Ricoh assures us this is an updated new sensor design for this camera in particular, and that should give us some really nice improvements. But before we talk about that, let's go take some black and white photos and let's make this video black and white. Okay, so we've got a red bench here, we've got blue sky in the background. This is actually a really good opportunity to teach you something about the filter that they've incorporated in the GR4 monochrome. Now, Ricoh GR cameras often will have a true filter that slides in and out of the light path inside the camera. Classically, what Ricoh will do is give you a 3-stop ND filter, which just cuts your light. This is really nice if you want to shoot at f2.8 on a really bright sunny day, but you don't want to max out the 2500th of a second mechanical shutter. So it's very useful for that. Or sometimes what they'll do is make HDF models where they actually have a soft diffusion filter, which is fun for nightscapes and stuff, kind of soft diffuse light. Well, in this case, because we have a black and white camera, what they've decided to do is incorporate a red filter. Now, classically in black and white photography, we would use colored filters, not to change color obviously, but to change tonal range. This is about a 2-stop red filter, so it's not as strong as like a deep red, but this is kind of in line with where I really like to use a colored filter because it'll often give you just more dramatic contrast. Now what it's going to do in this particular case, because this is a red bench and I've got blue sky, anything which is similar in tone to red will actually go lighter in the shot, and anything which is opposite, like blues and greens, will go darker. So in our first untouched shot, you can see that this goes fairly dark in the frame. The sky is kind of washed out. When we turn that red filter on, this goes quite a bit lighter and that sky goes quite a bit darker. And this can just be a fun filter to play with. Now, if you want to use other effects like different colored filters or ND or something like that, well, you're going to have to use the filter adapter on the front of the lens, lock that in place, and then screw in your filters. And you can absolutely do that. But here they've chosen to give us a built-in red filter, and it's kind of fun to use, especially on a day like today when you just want to give it a little bit more drama. But that's not all, because we also get 6 digital black and white looks that we can apply. So you get a standard one, you get a solid one, which I'm liking today, just brings the blacks down a little bit deeper in the shadows. Then you get a soft tone, which is overall a lower contrast. You get a high contrast, which is over the top. You also get a grainy look, and you also get a HDR look, which boosts the shadows a bit. As well, you've got custom settings, so you can even make your own. So if you want to play a little bit more with tones and curves, you absolutely have that option. But let's talk about a potential issue here, okay? Because as I mentioned, we don't have an ND filter built in this camera. So what happens if we are on a bright sunny day and we want to shoot at f2.8 and it's going to go above that 2500th of a second maximum shutter speed in mechanical shutter mode? Well, you could use the red filter to cut 2 stops, but you don't always want to apply that contrast look to your shot. You could, of course, also screw in an ND filter, but that requires an adapter and it's a little bit bulky and you got to carry it around with you, so it's kind of annoying. So what Ricoh has done specifically on the GR4 monochrome is incorporated a new electronic shutter capability that will go up to a maximum of 16,000th of a second. That will absolutely cut that extra light, no problem. The only issue with using electronic shutter is you might get some rolling shutter issues if you're panning the camera quickly or something moves through the frame quickly. But if that's not the case, this is going to be a nice solution. Okay, so let's talk about the sensor here. Now remember, this is pre-production, so we can't really do any evaluations, but we do know what the original 26 megapixel sensor is capable of, and we do know that we get improvements when we go to a black and white only sensor. Getting rid of that color array does give us more light. The base ISO from 100 is now increased to 160 to represent that extra light that we're getting. We're maxing out at 409,600 ISO. And yes, this is a pre-production camera. We can't do any in-depth analysis right now, but we've seen this many times before now. When you go to a monochromatic sensor and you get rid of that color array, we do get improvements to things like ISO performance, ability to push shadows, some dynamic range improvements over what we would see out of the standard 26 megapixel color sensor. And it really lets an APS-C size sensor punch above its weight. And so I think it's a worthwhile sacrifice to give up color if you love black and white photography to get that image quality improvement. And we've seen this many times before. We've seen this in the Pentax K3 monochrome. We've seen this in a lot of Leica monochrome cameras, and now we have it here in a Ricoh GR. So look, I really love the Ricoh GR series of cameras, and especially the GR4. I think it's the best one designed so far. And the only way it could get better for me is to make it like this, make a monochromatic version. I've had a lot of fun with this camera. This is exactly, the way that I would want to use one of these little pocket cameras for just doing nice black and white photography as I walk around. It's a companion camera that you can take anywhere with you. And I think it's going to do incredibly well, because the fact of the matter is, if you're looking for a compact, stylish camera that does black and white only, you're basically looking at Leica cameras. I mean, M series cameras or Q series cameras, those are not only substantially larger than this, but they're also far more expensive. Or you could go to a Pentax SLR system, but it's not compact at all, and now you're gonna have to commit to an SLR system. So this makes a lot of sense. I think they're gonna sell a ton of these. It's gonna be insanely popular. So I hope you guys had a lot of fun watching this video, because I certainly had a lot of fun shooting it. And even though this is pre-production, we pretty much know what this camera is going to deliver. There aren't going to be any surprises. So overall, I think this would be a fantastic package. Leave your comments below, though. Let us know what you think. Do check out the PetaPixel podcast on this channel or all your favorite podcasting apps. It's always good to see you guys there as well. And consider helping us out and supporting us with a PetaPixel.com membership. Look at all these great benefits you can have. It's definitely worth it, and we always appreciate the support. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you soon with more on PetaPixel.